guys, welcome back to This Week in Movie News from the Movie Chickk. You guys get 2 episodes this week. Two! Because thanks to my lovely computer that crashed, needed a new hard drive, and had to buy new software, it was really late. But it's up, and it's there, and now you're going to get 2 episodes in 1 week, so congratulations. Not to me, who had the headache for the computer, but congratulations to you. Joining us tonight, of course, the lovely Megan Salinas from the Movie Chickk.
Hey, everybody.
Glad to have you. We did have a special guest book tonight at Melissa, but unfortunately there was a scheduling conflict, so she couldn't make it, but she is so excited to come back and visit us. So she will be back. And you guys loved Sabina. Of course, I knew you would because she rocks.
She does.
She definitely will be coming back as well because we got lots of fun comments about Sabina as well. So I want to start off with box office. We didn't do it last week and we have to do it this week because you know who is at number 1. Hunger Games is at number 1. James Bond is coming in at number 2 with Spectre. Number 3 is Peanuts. Number 4, The Night Before. And number 5, Secret in Our Eyes, which by the way, I didn't even know existed. How bad am I that I had no idea that Secret in Our Eyes existed? Are you surprised that Hunger Games is number 1?
Absolutely not. The fact that the box office breakdown is the way it is this week is in absolutely no way surprising. Like if you had put out all these movies on the table, I would have probably been able to say this one's number 1, this one's number 2, this one's number 3. I've heard of that one, but I completely forgot about it. But yeah.
And I mean, how do you compete with Hunger Games? It did lose a lot of steam, though. The numbers for this Mockingjay Part 2 were a lot lower than Mockingjay Part 1. I don't know if that has to do with some critic reviews that went out a little bit early, and maybe that's what stopped people from going to see it opening weekend and felt like they could maybe wait a week or 2. I know that I wanted to see it quite quickly, and I was very underwhelmed. So if you guys caught the review on Monday Morning Critic this week, super underwhelmed for sure.
Yeah, I think that's been the critical response for a lot of people is that you had a lot of great forward momentum and then just a little bit of a disappointing resolution for a lot of people. And because let's face it, wars usually don't end in a satisfactory way for main characters. So it's in no way surprising. And then you also have fans of the book series who know exactly how it ends and hate how it ends.
Right.
So they're like, I saw part 1. I know what happens. I don't need to put
and
myself
part
through
1
that.
was done really well too.
It was.
And I think, I always go to the Harry Potter franchise because to me they did no wrong. That was the best book to film adaptation, and they were able to split that final movie in a satisfactory way. I still think it wasn't amazing that they split it, but they split it in a satisfactory way. And we got a little bit more of some of the things that we may have wanted or didn't even know we wanted to see. Where so as Hunger Games, I think it definitely hurt them by splitting this into 2.
Absolutely.
And where they split it too. Because it was the whole final movie was conclusion and really dark.
Now, as impressed, because I was genuinely impressed with part 1, as impressed as I was with part 1, there's absolutely no need to split this book into 2 parts. And I've said it time and time again, I hate when movie franchises do that. Did it to The Hobbit, they've done it to this. They're gonna do it to the Divergent franchise, I think. I'm basically sick of doing it because it is just a cash grab. And you put so much padding and filler in it, and then ultimately when you get to the end, you're like, well, that was a lot of waiting for nothing.
Like that scene we won't talk about in Mockingjay Part 2 that they just made up and doesn't even exist. It makes me angry! Angry! Okay, so we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but Disney and Marvel have officially announced that they have started production on Doctor Strange. It is official, even though we talked about pictures 2 weeks ago.
It
is now official. They sent out the email. I got it. It's official. Official.
Did they need to do that? Everybody knew.
I mean,
Benedict Cumberbatch is walking around with a fake beard and a crazy coat.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of, and I think that a lot of fans don't know this, and I didn't know this before I had worked on my first film, is sometimes months before they actually start filming, they'll have the actors come in and do just photos and their costumes and as the character to see what it's going to look like, and they can make some changes, and sometimes they'll do some CGI to them and to really get a feel for it. So the only thing I can think of possibly why they would announce this when pictures have already been released is that maybe those were, those first couple days of production where they were just taking photos and they haven't actually filmed anything yet, but now they have. It's officially official. Disney said it's officially official. And speaking of Disney, there is tons of Star news. There is tons of Star Wars news that's coming out. So I'm gonna just read off a bunch of them because this was a lot. So okay. Carrie Fisher talked to Time magazine about how Leia has changed in Force Awakens and says, "Oh my God, she got so much older. I tried to stop her, but apparently that's good stuff. So that didn't see." No, that's not what she said. Try that again. "Oh my God, she got so much older. I tried to stop her, but apparently that means death, and that didn't seem like a good solution. Along with aging comes life experience. So in every way that is consistent with even being human, Leia has changed." Congratulations, Carrie Fisher, on giving us absolutely nothing. Empire has 6 new magazine covers showing off the cast with tons of great interviews from the cast and filmmakers, as did Entertainment Weekly recently. So those are on newsstands now. Brent Simon, who is another journalist critic, tweeted last week, somehow he saw something. He saw some sort of footage. And he said, "Under embargo, obviously, but I will say it's heartening. Star Wars will seemingly not have Genesis's Emilia Clarke problem." Wired.com has blueprints for the Starkiller base, which houses the First Order and a new super weapon, as well as a photo gallery of a few dozen props from helmets to lightsabers. Jimmy Kimmel recently had the cast down over on the show. They had amazing interviews, and in case you were wondering, Harrison Ford, Han Solo, and Chewbacca have made up, just in case you were wondering. In case you're up on that. There are big changes to the Season of the Force event at the Disneyland Hollywood Studios. Only the launch bay is now slated to open on December 1st, and the rest will be opened later on. And the most exciting news that I've heard was Michael Kaplan, who is the costume designer, recently talked to Elle magazine about how involved J.J. Abrams was, saying, "I mean, he would ask me where I was putting the seam. I mean, nothing passed by him without notice. It was remarkable how everything on this movie became important. I could see what effect this movie had on him as a child and how he carried that into his filmmaking. I was thrilled to support him and go through all the steps that would make him happy." He also said, "It was really important for me and for JJ that we stayed within the same world of the characters that they were in the 3 initial films. Many of the characters were inhabited by the same actors, and I wanted it to feel familiar, as though the same characters were still making the same choices they made 30 years ago and what they were wearing 30 years ago. Things needed updating, but not recreating." So this is a ton of Star Wars news that's continuously coming up. Do you want it? Or are you saying, like, stop, I don't want to read anymore, I don't want to hear it, I just want to see the movie?
Well, on the one hand, there are certain things I'd like to know. Like, there are just little tiny tidbits here and there. On the other hand, I don't want to know anymore, because the closer we get to the release date, the more and more we're getting. And in some ways, that's great. But I was just looking through my Facebook feed, and I'm seeing people posting articles about rumors and whether or not certain rumors are confirmed, and I just want to close my eyes, and I'm like, no, stop it, because it's fun to speculate. It really is. It's fun to speculate, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know for sure. It is so, on the one hand, all this news is really great. On the other hand, it runs the risk of giving away too much, which the trailers have done a phenomenal job of only giving enough. And I don't want to know anymore.
I know.
Just let me watch the movie, guys.
I know.
Let me bury my head in the sand, cover my ears and close my eyes, and just transport me to the day I can go see the movie.
There was a part of me that got so excited when I read Princess Leia, like Carrie Fisher talks about what we're going to see. And I was like, yes! And then I read it and I was like, she gave me nothing.
Oh,
but then I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing anything but the fact that she's where you would expect her to be at her age. And when she said that there's more life experience, that's exciting to me, because Princess Leia was always a strong-ass chick. So to know that this time's passed, she's only gotten smarter, to me means she's only gotten better. And if we get to see her in a more leadership kind of role in this Star Wars, that makes me really excited to see that.
I have something. If you want to call on me, I can give you a little bit of a slight spoiler.
I don't want a spoiler.
In terms of how she is referred in the film.
Okay, I'll take that.
She's not.
Like, I don't want a spoiler, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
They were talking about this a lot last week. She is not going to be referred to as Princess Leia. She is going to be referred to as General. She is a general in this upcoming film.
I mean, the princess in me hates that, but I think it'd be okay if I got swapped for a princess to a general.
And also, and as I was like thinking, well, why isn't she queen? And then somebody pointed out, they're like, what would she be queen of exactly?
The galaxy!
Her planet's gone, though.
She's the queen of the galaxy. I was also really excited about the J.J. Abrams part, too, because I feel like people are really nervous about it, and this is something that he loved as a child, and it's something that he wants to be consistent with the initial 3 films, which I think was important for people to hear, and to know that he cares that much about where seams are. I mean, that's attention to detail taken to a whole nother level. So to me, that's all, like, all of this is really exciting. I'm going back and forth as to whether I want to see the interviews on Jimmy Kimmel. We know they can't say anything, but I feel like I kind of want to hold on and maybe not see anything else.
Oh no, I'll look them up later. Like I said, cover my ears, close my eyes, don't want anything.
They've released 2 new TV commercials, and every time one comes on, I change the channel. Like, I won't even watch them. I want nothing to do with it. It makes me angry.
I'm very close to like considering quitting social media until the movie comes out. But I will say that in relation to the J.J. Abrams bit, that's something he's said for a long time, even before he was announced as the director for the upcoming Star Wars movie. And actually, he was criticized heavily when he took the helm for the Star Trek films because he wanted to bring, he went on record saying that he wanted to bring Star Wars type of storytelling to the Star Trek world and to a lot of Star Trek fans that just didn't mesh properly. So he got
separation has always been very important to Trekkies.
Why can't we all just get along?
Speaking of Star Trek Beyond is being re-released in IMAX soon, which I think is really exciting for the Trek fans. You happened to mention it. I thought I should bring it up because it is really exciting. I am not a Star Trek fan. I will watch the movies, but I do not get excited about them anymore.
I like Next Gen. The bits that I've seen of Next Gen are great.
I'm like, yeah. Well,
we're hard though.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm just not a Trekkie. I don't know why.
But Patrick Stewart.
All the sci-fi, all the fantasy stuff that I love, it's Trek I can't get on board with. But I want to talk about another director whom I love so much, James Gunn. Not only has he proved that he's amazing, but he made me a believer in a talking raccoon that holds a gun and a tree that just says, I am Groot. I made fun of him and the film for so long, and he so made me a believer. There's been so many Guardians 2 rumors that have been going around, and most recently there was one on Star-Lord's father. And James Gunn is one of those people who's very active on social media. He is always making sure he's talking to his fans. He's really just a normal guy, which makes me excited, and loves his animals. James Gunn, me and you on Instagram should be buddies because I love looking at your animals. But he put a stop to some rumors this week about Star-Lord's dad. And he made this big statement. And what I think was really important about this statement is he said, I'm going to address this one, but then I'm going to stop because eventually one of these tabloids is going to be correct. And I don't want to ruin it, but just stop trying to guess. Like, just let me do it. And I love that he does that. He's spoken out about spoiler sites before, which I think is so important. We don't ever run spoiler stuff on our site. And I think it's important because as a movie fan, I went to see a movie last night that was hyped up so much that I was so afraid it was going to be ruined for me. So that on top of the fact that now people are putting out spoilers on what the whole movie's going to be, like, come on. And I was so proud that he did that. And it made me even more excited for Guardians 2 because I like him so much.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that our culture, like, social media is great and the internet is fantastic. I don't know what I'd do without the internet. But the fact of the matter is that things are no longer movie news. People have confused spoilers for movie news. And that's how people get spoiled for The Dark Knight Rises by going to IMDb and finding out that Talia's last name is Talia al Ghul. And that's And social media spoiled me for The Walking Dead this week. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm really glad that, and it's really hard for creators too, especially when you want to keep that mystery and you want your audience to go on that journey, because the payoff for that journey is something to be cherished.
Right.
And if you, like, and yeah, there's a lot to, it's not the destination, it's the journey. There's a lot to that. But, like, if you're not meant to know when you get there, that really does undermine the journey itself, too.
Absolutely.
So, guys, yeah, stop spoiling things. And what I like is that he understands the enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
He understands the passion and why it's important for people to talk about it and speculate, like we were talking about. It's fun to speculate. But you can't do this, guys. You can't do it to yourselves, and you certainly shouldn't do it to other people.
Absolutely.
Who don't ask for it, because that's how I got spoiled for the 6th Harry Potter book.
Stop spoiling!
Stop it!
Stop it!
For me.
We have Toy Story 4 news. A little bit of Toy Story 4 news. Toy Story 4 is going in a completely new direction, and there's already movement on the project. Ed Catmull, who's the current president of Pixar Animation Studios, addressed fans concerning the 4th film, saying, in the case of Toy Story 4, we had basically a perfect trilogy. So in this case, it's not like saying, okay, you can just go on to the next step. We really wrapped that one out. At this point, you've got to go in a very different direction, and this is a different kind of exploration. So far, all we know about Toy Story 4 is that it will be a romantic comedy, which will have, I can't even say it seriously, which will have Woody searching for his lost love, Bo Peep. But we do have more news on Toy Story 4. Tom Hanks recently stopped by the Graham Norton show, and in the midst of his charming and wonderful interview, he mentioned that news for Toy Story 4, he's revealed that he's already begun recording for the voice of Woody for Toy Story 4, which is kind of exciting because it's not coming out for a while. We haven't gotten really much. I just can't take the romantic comedy seriously. But that's what we have, and they've already started doing voice recordings. What do you think about a romantic comedy Toy Story?
Well, on the one hand, they're right, because Toy Story is a perfect trilogy. It is fantastic and phenomenal. And by almost, I mean, I kind of don't want a 4th one because it's so perfect. Toy Story 3 was so good. I almost don't want a 4th one, but if they are doing a 4th one, I am glad that they're self-aware enough to be like, no, guys, we can't just rehash it. We do have to go in a different direction. And one of the saddest parts of Toy Story 3 was just the look on Woody's face when he said, yeah, we lost Bo. That was one of the saddest bits. And I know people who were crushed by that statement.
Right.
So I think this is a positive direction. I don't know how I feel about them labeling it as romantic comedy instead of just like search and rescue, or I don't know. So I don't know how I feel about the label. But that being said, I think it's a good idea, like a good starting point in terms of like searching for a lost love. I think that's a great idea for a movie in any capacity. But in terms of Tom Hanks talking about having already started recording for the role, that doesn't necessarily mean much to me because they could still be in the storyboarding side of things, where the story. The thing about animation story is that things are in development for so long that the story goes through so many different changes, especially with Pixar films. It's a very, very collaborative effort. So for right now, I don't know if they're talking about official recording dialogue, and even a lot of these stars, even when the script is finalized and everything, a lot of times these stars, they come in at different points over the course of years to record their dialogue. So to me, I'm not that thrilled that he's recording now because, like I said, it could just be for storyboard purposes.
It is so true with Pixar how they go through so many changes. I mean, The Good Dinosaur, God, they were in production for that forever, and it made so many changes. And some of them huge. The Age of Spot, Arlo's best friend, was once a much older boy and is now a baby. So, I mean, there's so many changes, and you're right. It doesn't really mean anything. But the fact that he is going in and they're already starting to think about it and work on it is really exciting because it is a beloved franchise. And like you said, it was done perfectly and it is a perfect trilogy. But you kind of do want to know where they're going to go. I just don't know how I feel about a romantic comedy being Toy Story.
The
but
problem
I'll
was
take
that
it.
Toy Story 3 was such a perfect goodbye. It really was. And so I was skeptical about them doing anything afterwards. But then I watched a couple of the Toy Story shorts that they did, you know, that take place after Toy Story 3, and they're all really solid.
Yeah.
Like they're like still good, and there are still stories to be told in this setting. And so after seeing those, I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit more warmed up to the idea of another one coming out.
Yeah, I mean, they could go
possibly
anywhere
multiple.
with those characters, which is exciting. They really could. Those characters are so loved, and even to new kids that don't know them yet, I mean, there's so many places you can go with a group of toys that are alive. And that's really exciting to see, and I like that they are interested in looking at that and going down that avenue. So something we talked about a long time ago with Evel Knievel, and I was really excited about it, but now there's new Evel Knievel news. We've seen this happen so many times where studios, opposite studios put out the same project. It's happened with Jungle Book, it's happened with Magic movies, it always happens, and now it's happening with Evel Knievel. When we last talked about it, it was Darren Aronofsky was signing on as a director with Channing Tatum putting on the jacket, but now, that was for Sony, but now Paramount is prepping a rival Knievel biopic. Aronofsky, by the way, is no longer attached to the Sony project because he left to make a film with Jennifer Lawrence. Now Paramount is prepping, and they are not stopping at anything. They want full steam ahead. They don't have a star with Tatum's name attached yet, but they have Oscar-winning screenwriter, Monahan, sorry. But they have Oscar-winning screenwriter William Monahan signed on, and the attention of director Martin Scorsese. It's being said that it's still in the beginning phases, and Scorsese will not sign on to the project until he sees a final finished draft of Monahan's screenplay. So there's always a chance he could walk away. But to me, this sounds like a way more exciting Evel Knievel now. I love Scorsese. I love Scorsese. He's one of my all-time favorite directors. And to see him do a spin on Evel Knievel would be really exciting. And Monahan's work speaks for himself. He has the statue, he's done it. And I was never really, I mean, I don't know how I felt about Channing Tatum, but this to me, I'm on board Martin Scorsese. Whenever Scorsese signs on to anything, I'm really excited. What do you think about this?
Well, on the one hand, I'm sad we're not seeing Darren Aronofsky's take, because I think we talked about it last time, that fit in really well with the self-destructive sports star kind of motif that he's had for a couple films. So that would have been perfect. It would have been great. I agree with you. I don't know how I felt about Channing Tatum being attached to that. But for me, I look at this news, and as great as Scorsese is, I always crack up when studios do this. Like, one studio announces that they're about to do a certain type of project, and then another one is like, not if we do it first.
That's right.
And it seems
we get Martin Scorsese.
And it seems so childish to me. I mean, there is absolutely no shortage of amazing people in the world. If you want to do your Oscar bait, biopics, there are so many interesting people. You don't have to put one out at the same time as another one. You could wait a couple years and do another one of Evel Knievel if you want. But guys, there are so many amazing people that don't get the credit that they deserve. Like real life Peggy Carter's. How great would it be to see a real life like Peggy Carter movie? Because there were so many female soldiers like her.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing. There are tons and tons of stories out there. You guys don't have to fight over them.
Well, and I think the reason why it happens is because so often we see these movies in development, and they're in development forever. So that's a great idea. Let's do an Evel Knievel movie. Well, Sony doesn't have their shit together, so we're gonna do it on our terms because we can get it done quicker, and they're gonna have to wait. And it's almost like it's that game of who can get it done first, which is very childish, but at the same token, like, it's a great movie and it's a great idea, and they saw people start to get excited about it, and when Paramount saw Sony flailing, they jumped up and said, let's do it, and actually, I'm more excited about this one. Just like there were the two Jungle Books, and there's one that I'm more excited about than the other, and that's what happens, is it depends on who's attached, who's going to go see which one, or who's sticking to the story and who's not. And to me, this already, if Scorsese was to sign on, then I'm more excited about the Scorsese one than I am about the Aronofsky part. For me.
Fair enough.
I love a good Scorsese film. That's a part.
It's hard to argue with Scorsese.
It really is. This next news, I don't think that anyone is going to be surprised about. Fox has pulled Fantastic Four, the sequel, off its release calendar for 2017. It's off. No more. Are you surprised?
Not at all.
It was so bad.
Oh man, they actually Screen Junkies released an honest trailer for it. I want to say it was today. It might have been a few days ago, but they officially released an honest trailer for it. You want to go and laugh at how bad it was. The main thing that I'm wondering about is if Fox is just pulling it because they realize that they can no longer make this viable, and if that means that the rights are going to go back to Marvel, or if they're just going to hang on to them for as long as they can until they expire.
They will not let the rights go, which is really sad and disappointing, but they're not going to let the rights go because they don't want someone else to make money off it. They're going to keep it until they can figure out how to do it right, and sadly, us fans are going to have to keep watching that happen. And the last one was just pitiful, and it's sad because the cast was amazing.
It really
could have
is.
been an amazing film, but they just couldn't do it.
You got Jamie Bell, you got Michael B. Jordan, you got so many good people in this, and they just couldn't do it.
I mean, Michael B. Jordan is an potential Oscar-winning actor. He has what it takes to be, I mean, up there, star-worthy, amazing. I mean, God, Fruitvale Station, Creed. Like, I can't stop talking about how amazing he is. Miles Teller is another one who's amazing, and I love. I mean, they had the setup, and then so many things were changed, and so many things were changed after the fact that it just became a mess, and it's really sad. It is no secret that Universal is hoping to bring back their classic monsters to the big screen, news that Megan mentioned last week. And there's new news this week that they may be eyeing Miss Angelina Jolie for the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
It's also been mentioned that they'd like to bring her back for Wanted 2, a project that's been in development for quite some time. And while Jolie's character may have died in the first one, they're searching for a way to bring her character back. Now, I know you're probably more excited for one part of that news than the other.
I could care less about one. I really could. But it is hilarious that they killed her in the first movie, and they're like, it's kind of like, did you ever see the Resident Evil films?
Yes.
They killed off Michelle Rodriguez in the first film, and they found a way to bring her back in later installments. But it was so funny because on the set of the first one, she just looked at the director and she's like, "You're gonna regret this," and he did.
Fast and Furious.
They made
Don't
the same
kill
mistake.
Letty. Don't do it.
Don't do it. But the for this, I am so excited about the upcoming Universal monster movies because these are such iconic creatures, and I'm a huge fan of the Mummy franchise from the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, those films are so fun. I really love them. And so, but I'm also really concerned because they want to Avengerize it. You know, they want to tie everything into one universe to make this big monster mash film, which on the one hand sounds great and sounds like it's everything I've ever wanted.
If it's done right.
If it's done right. And it, like, they tried to kind of sort of test the waters with this, with Dracula Untold, and that was a colossal flop. And so that's kind of not a really great indication of where this could go, because they could fall flat on their face with this.
Right.
And there's also, and I was super excited because a couple weeks ago I wrote an article about they're open to having the Mummy be played by a woman. They're open to open casting, and then they'd be like, and the story, it would be whichever actor can play the role the best, man or woman. And I was so jazzed about that. And then I looked on social media today, and they're talking to Tom Cruise. And I'm like, I don't know what part they're talking to him for, but I'm like, he is not the Mummy.
Right.
He is not the Mummy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That being said, I would love it if Jolie was the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like Jolie is strong enough not to be the bride of a particular monster. I feel like she should be a monster in her own right.
And the only way Julie's signing on to a project like this is if that character is going to be able to stand on her own and not just be the missus of someone else.
Exactly.
I mean, she's not going, and I don't care what anybody says, if By the Sea tanked and nobody saw it. First of all, it was only released in like 1,000 theaters, if that. It had
So of course
little
the
to no
movie's not
marketing.
bring in
and
a lot of money.
not a lot of people, could you just hit the space bar?
Space.
I don't care what anybody says about By the Sea. It had little to no marketing. It barely went out in theaters. And it's not a movie for everybody. If you don't like those kind of films that are character studies and zoom in on one person that happens to be tragically depressed, then you're not going to like the movie. And I don't care if you're going to call it a failure. It's not a failure. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of work I've ever seen. And that is not going to in any way, shape, or form hurt her career. And they're not going to look at her as a universal for a monster movie because she made a bad movie. Like, this is not them looking at her and saying, oh, she can just do this. Like, she's Angelina Jolie.
She can
like,
do whatever she pleases.
Exactly. So the only way she's signing on to this is if it's a role like that, which makes that more exciting for me. The old monster movies are definitely classics. And you watch them back now, and to me, they're more fun because they're silly and they're campy and they're a little bit
products
different.
of their time.
And they're not what they could be. So to know that they're going to remake that now, that could be very exciting for me, as long as they don't go totally horror.
Well, and this is the fine line they have to walk, is they have to decide tonally what they're going to go with.
Right.
Are they going to go with the Mummy series and have it a comedic action series that relies more on like slapstick humor and fun action as opposed to genuine horror? Because especially when you're having the monsters all exist within the same world, ultimately building up to a film where they're all in it together, are they the heroes? Are they the villains?
Right.
Are they anti-heroes? And again, this all affects the tone. Is this a comedy? Is this going to basically be the Abbott and Costello meet the Wolfman
Right.
of, campy action movies? And we've seen movies like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen try to have this kind of mashup, and it doesn't quite work for a lot of people. Which is also getting a reboot, by the way.
It's very important the road they decide to take, and I think that's going to be the hit or miss with these, and whether they fail or not. And it's exciting to start hearing casting rumors, whether they be Tom Cruise or Angelina Jolie, that they're looking at these A-list actors. But then at the same token, like, we all know it doesn't take an A-list actor to make a great movie, and star power doesn't get people into the box office. So with that being said, I would be really excited to see Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein, because that to me means that that's going to be a kick-ass character and not just the bride. I want to head over to the trailer park and talk about a couple trailers before we go today. One that I just want to mention that we probably just won't delve into is Rolling Papers. If you haven't heard about it, it's a documentary about the legalization of marijuana, and it's amazing. There was recently a program on CNN called High Profits, which talked about the actual dispensaries and followed the people that were starting the dispensaries in Colorado. But it looks like a really interesting documentary, and as we're called film critics, they have marijuana critics, which I thought was amazing. So definitely check out that trailer. Barbershop: The Next Cut. I'm actually pretty excited about this trailer. I don't know how you feel about this stuff. I think these movies are so much fun, and one of the things I like is that Malcolm Lee is at the helm once again, and he is the man behind The Best Man and The Best Man Holiday, two of my all-time favorite movies. And he has a really amazing ability of making these really great fun films that have these amazing messages. And as cheesy as that sounds, when I look at the Barbershop trailer, I see funny, I see Nicki Minaj, I see all these things, but I also see them taking on race issues. I see them taking on all the, and having an important story about getting back a neighborhood. So I was really excited about this trailer because, I mean, this is the third one in the franchise. Like, where are they going to go next in the Barbershop? But it seems like they're going the right way. What did you think?
Well, at first, I was looking at this trailer and I'm like, is this going to be a rehash of just the same old, stuff that we've already seen? But then they started talking about, like, how it looks like the story is revolving around wanting to make the community a better place.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's kind of what each of the films is about, just because, like, everybody who goes to the barbershop, that's like their family right there. So it's really nice to see that it looks like this film is focusing on all this kind of makeshift family, I guess. You know, all these people who've known each other for so long come together to want to make their community a better place. I think that's very endearing.
Yeah, Malcolm Lee's great at it. If you guys haven't watched The Best Man or The Best Man Holiday or any other barbershops, check it out because he's really good at doing that. I love the addition of Nicki Minaj. I think that she's hysterical and hilarious and so much fun to watch on screen. So she's really exciting. The other trailer I want to talk about is Zootopia, Disney's new animated film. Okay, so I could not get through this trailer. I actually had to stop the trailer because at the beginning of the trailer I was like, oh my god, this is so cute, and then came the sloth part in the bank and the sloth's talking so slow and my attention span left. I was like, I can't watch it anymore, it's done. And so I'm not signed on for Zootopia, which is so hard for me to say because I am such a Disney kid and this is the first one that I'm just like, okay, I need to, I've seen other things that were better, but this trailer for me wasn't it.
See, I actually was totally on board with the trailer because it didn't give away too much of the plot. It was just this one really funny scene of this, you know, young cop who, she's a real go-getter, and because she's a bunny, she is also very fast-paced. So this is the worst situation for her to be in, is being with somebody super sarcastic who is intentionally antagonizing her and knows that he can just get under her skin by sidetracking this guy who's already super slow, even though his name is Flash. And I thought it was very funny. I thought it was very cute. And I'm actually more excited to see this now than when they did the initial teases because I really like the tone and the style of humor and the characters in the animation. I think it's just great.
I hope I'm wrong. It was just that it was a 3.5 minute trailer, which
for something that could have been literally a minute long.
Right, because that whole sloth part in the bank, which the whole part of it is the sloth is so slow that they talk like this. And my attention span was like, I can't handle it, I can't. I was already looking up the next trailer to watch. So I was more excited for the teasers. This one made me less excited, but I am a Disney kid and they always do me right. So I'm hoping that I will be back on board for this. The next trailer I want to talk about is Carol, because this is getting so much work. This, to me, the worst trailer of the ones that they've put out. It had no voices. We got very little. I understand giving us trailers. The movie's coming out, and you got to give us trailers. But this was not a trailer. This was an advertisement. This was, I'm going to give you pull quotes from critics that have already seen the movie and just really pretty pictures. And to me, that's not a trailer. To me, a trailer gives me something to do with the movie, and this wasn't it. And I was so disappointed with this trailer. I still am so excited about this movie. Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara in Love in the 50s, to me, sign me up. I'm on board. I love both of them. I love this story. I love that women in love in the 50s was not acceptable. I'm so excited to see it, but this trailer to me was a complete thumbs down.
It's so funny, and we'll touch on them in a minute, but the order that I watched the trailers in, it was so funny because it almost told a story. Because the first trailer that I watched had Christian Bale in it, and then the second trailer that I watched also had Christian Bale in it, but also Cate Blanchett. And then the third trailer that I watched was Cate Blanchett.
I was like, direction.
I was like, is this a story? Is this like a continuous thing?
I went the opposite direction.
So it was really funny, and we'll touch on those trailers in a bit. But for this one, I was looking at this, and you're absolutely right. It's so frustrating when you only get critics going like, critics give this movie 5 stars. It's like, I don't care what the critics say. Just tell me what the story's about, and if it sounds interesting, I'll go see it. And it does sound interesting.
And had they done a pull quote with a scene, totally different. We see that done all the time. But this was like music, no dialogue, and then just words over the pictures. And I was like, this is such a fail for a trailer.
It's basically like a motion. It's like a motion poster.
Right. Totally opposite of the Night of Cups trailer, by the way, which is the next trailer we're going to talk about. Night of Cups trailer, total opposite. Fast paced, quick cut, lots of images. messages, didn't know what you were looking at. So I have no idea what the movie's about. I had to look it up on IMDb. But I got to see Christian Bale, Kate Blanchett, Natalie Portman, and my girl Imogen Poots. So you put Imogen Poots in anything, and I'm gonna see it. No matter what it is, I'm gonna see it. But this trailer gave me nothing of what the movie was about, but yet it still excites me. What did you think?
See, I was looking at this one, and it looks to be one of those movies that's not so much about telling a story and more about showing a sequential order of events.
Really?
To me, it does. It's more of like somebody drifting through life, not sure what they want. And I find movies like that kind of boring. And I will say that this trailer, I was kind of annoyed because I don't think I've ever seen a trailer use so many shots from a wide-angle lens. Like, it was starting to bother me by the time I got to the end of the trailer. So, it doesn't look like it's my cup of tea. That being said, it does look like it has a very distinct visual style, and it does look like it has a very unique way of telling its story. Whether or not it's a story I could care about, I have no idea.
Yeah, I liked the fact it's about an LA screenwriter kind of searching for something. Is kind of the grasp of what I got. And there are a lot of big names in this movie, and it looks like from IMDb that they're all playing themselves, which is really interesting. So I'm assuming Christian Bale is the screenwriter from the trailer because he's kind of the center, and it looks like he's a big partier with Miss Imogen Poots. But this movie looks so exciting to me, and I love these kind of movies where it's somebody that has no idea what's going on with their life and is searching for something. I love that. I love that it takes place in LA and it's in this business as well, because I think that those are always really fun character studies because this business is crazy. So are the people in it. You have to set your own worth or you'll be taken advantage of every time you turn around. So I'm really interested in seeing it, and that makes me really excited. And especially this cast. Christian Bale is so picky on his projects. So picky, and it's something that I love about him. So to know that he signed on to this, especially after doing The Big Short, which is the trailer we'll talk about before we go, it makes me super excited.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Like I said, I don't think it's my cup of tea, but I can definitely appreciate what they're going for. And you're absolutely right. Stories about Hollywood and Los Angeles, those are, if nothing else, interesting.
Yes, fascinating. And the last one we're going to talk about is The Big Short. You know, my roommate is a writer for Splash Film. He has already seen this and came back and said it was excellent. So this cast is epic as well. We have Gosling, Bale, Tomei, Pitt, Steve Carell. It's based on the book of the same name. Not to mention, majority of the people that are going to go see this movie lived through this. So I remember it. I remember the banking crisis happening. I'm sure you possibly remember.
I was in college when it happened, and I felt so bad for the graduating class that year.
Yeah.
And it affected everybody. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, if you weren't affected by what happened in 2008, chances are you're rich. And therefore, I could probably not relate to you.
Yeah. The thing that I think the trailer didn't show is I think there's a lot more comedy to it than is let on. I don't think that it's conceived as a comedy, but I think when you get this kind of cast together and you get this kind of story, there's going to be those really awkwardly funny moments, which I'm really excited to see. But this to me just looks like one of those movies that's stacked with amazing talent. That's going to be just a great film that I'm super excited to see.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not familiar with the book. Is this based on real people, or is this a fictional telling of events taking place at that time?
I'm pretty sure it's what happened. Like, these people tried to take on the banks.
Okay.
So, because I'm pretty sure it's not fictional.
Okay, great, because I'm looking at this in a certain light, and this is what I was talking about with the order that I watched these in, because it looks like betting against the banks, Christian Bale's character in that movie was able to become rich, and then in the following movie, he's drifting through life because, you know, he's rich and well off, but is still searching for meaning, and he loses his wife, Kate Blanchett, or girlfriend or whatever, and then she goes off and finds love.
It is a biographical comedy drama, so it was a nonfiction book.
And it has nothing to do with the other two movies that I saw trailers for.
Yeah,
but
and Adam McKay is directing it as well, who's amazing at stories like this, so I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, it reminds me, and I think they mentioned Moneyball at one point, but it very much reminds me of the first time I saw the trailer for Moneyball. And a little bit of the trailer for Concussion as well, you know, and the idea of taking on the big dogs and possibly getting into a lot of trouble for it, but at the same time, they're kind of coming to get a little bit of Ocean's 11 too, because you're bringing all these guys together to basically make bank. It looks
except
very,
they're not
very
as cool
No.
or suave or
well,
smart.
and they're not robbing a bank.
Yeah.
They're betting against
they're
a bank.
definitely not as suave as Ocean's 11, but they try.
Yeah.
They do try. This weekend we have two huge movies coming out, guys. We have The Good Dinosaur, Arlo and Spot, my buddies, which I can now tell you is amazing. I couldn't tell you last week. But this is an amazing, amazing film that you have to see. Pixar has done it again. They are going to make you laugh, make you cry, tear out your heart, and give you two new characters to know and love. Arlo is the dinosaur, Spot is the boy, and well, yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you because you have to go see it. And Creed, Oscar. I just have to say it. Like, I still am on a high from this movie. Rocky is one of the best movies of all time. It was nominated, it won. It is a movie that I don't think anyone ever thought could be touched. 2, 3, okay, great. How do you make a Rocky sequel and make it its own? Ryan Coogler did it. And you know what? Kudos to Ryan Coogler, and ha to all you critics that said he was a bad director and he had Forrest Whitaker's help on Fruitvale Station, because this man shows you that he can direct. This movie from top to bottom is epic, amazing. You will laugh, you will cry, you will feel. Michael B. Jordan, oh my God. Like, I cannot say enough about it. I'm going to do a review because I'm so in love with this movie. So you definitely want to check out The Good Dinosaur and Creed this weekend. Megan, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
And you guys can find me everywhere at Crystal. Don't forget to follow us at The Movie Chick with 2 Ks like me. You're watching us on YouTube, so while you're there, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go down in the comment section below and let us know what your thoughts are on the topics we discussed. And send us your questions. We want to do some user-submitted question videos and answer your questions about all things movies. So send it to us at askthemoviechick@gmail.com. Don't forget, chick with 2 Ks like me. See you guys next week on This Week in Movie News. And sorry for the dozer interruptions. Bye.